Yeah. Let me drop exclusive game from my exclusive mind. You be out here chasing fame, I stay steady on my grind. Zero diamonds, zero.
Thank you for tapping into the Exclusive Minds podcast. Today we're going to be having an exclusive conversation with exclusive content from Exclusive Minds. I'm your host, Rook, and
Joe?
let's get right into it.
Should I move this closer, you think?
Nah, we're good. No,
Leave
it's
it?
good. It's
It's
good.
good?
Yeah, no, and we're recording. So, hey.
And we're recording.
We're not dead. We're not dead. We're back. For episode 60, who the fuck knows? Oh, shit, there goes the explicit tag.
Dude, this guy's starting off
30
on a rocky
seconds in,
note
and we're
here.
already on the
Rocky
explicit tag.
stuff.
Jesus.
I think I know why.
Why?
Because your team lost.
Well, that doesn't help my mood, which, yeah, Manchester United just lost because they fucking suck.
Damn. Letting the Fs go. All good.
Sorry, I'll try and
You're good.
calm down.
So when I walked in here, the first thing I was surprised you don't have the Vision Pro, man. What the hell? I thought you were supposed to be.
Let's talk about
I
that.
thought you were supposed to be the Apple guy.
I know.
What happened?
So look,
you were supposed to. You're Apple.
I literally
Mr.
had
Apple.
I had it in.
Oh my God,
I
dude.
went through the whole facial recognition thing, and it was in the cart. And all I had to do was push the button, and I would have had it day one. And I couldn't do it, man. It was
Thank God.
$4,400
After tax.
So it was 3,600 because I wanted to get the 512 megabyte one or gig one, which is the middle of the road. And I had to get you had to get Apple Care because I heard that if you smash the glass, like if you drop it and break the glass, it's like a $2,200 repair. So I think Apple Care was like another $400 or $500.
Unbelievable.
So after you added it all up with tax, it was like 40 something $100. And I was just like, yeah, no, I can't do that. That is just
I
stupid.
can't believe that people are actually out there buying it. Like, I'm sure there's probably a return on investment if you're like a content creator, someone making videos and
I've
shit.
I've heard horror stories that Apple, like people just buy it and then they return it within 15 days because there's
Yeah.
there's a window of 15 days. So they
Sure,
go.
why not?
All these TikTokers and all these content creators
YouTubers
just
and
basically
whoever.
bought it and returned it 10 days later, right? And
I mean, that's what would make
I was
sense.
thinking about doing that, but then I was like, that's just freaking lame.
That's not lame. They're ripping people up. So the reason I brought it up too is because a couple of days ago, I think it was on the 13th. What are we at? The 24th. So about 10 days, 11 days ago, Mark Zuckerberg. He was like taking shots at the Apple.
Oh,
Pro.
I
Sorry,
know.
was about to sneeze.
He's an idiot.
He was really fired up, and someone was like, he still got that fire in him, like to compete with him.
Whatever.
But so
Yawn.
he has the Meta Quest. I think they're on the third or the fourth variation. That's for $500. So you would get basically everything you're getting. And his whole kind of rant was along those lines of like, Apple is known for being like a industry leader and other things, but he's like, this, I think they kind of missed the mark by trying to charge like an arm and a leg. Like
I mean,
there
might be some truth to that because I mean, I kept waiting and I'm looking at all the reviews and I'm sort of just waiting for, like, I'm waiting for a review to talk about what the purpose is or what the value is, right?
Yeah.
And other than, you basically have a 100-inch TV screen in high definition on your face that you can watch like movies, and it's kind of cool from that perspective. But I'm like, I'm not going to spend $4,500 on these goggles, and all it is just watching television or watching TV shows.
It's an entertainment center.
Right?
It's like-
I mean, I can
that's
buy a
what it is.
100-inch TV and have some shit ton of cash left
I was
over,
gonna say,
right? I
like,
mean,
how much are TVs these days? Like,
Ah,
you buy
they're
like a
just-
65-inch TV for like $1,000.
I know you can get like an 85-inch OLED for probably, I don't know, $1,500, $2,000,
OLED, I
and
know.
so
That's
you'd
like the
still
new
have
thing.
coin left over.
Yeah, it's funny too because we were talking about older TVs with my boss. He has like up in his storage, he had this like big boxy TV, and it's like now, like you said, like the OLED ones or like even
Paper
the
thin.
MacBook screens
Yeah.
are just like micro thin. But that's just
Yeah, so I keep waiting. I keep waiting for the. I'm just waiting for the article or the review that says this is the killer application, right? I'm like, because I was originally thinking about buying it because I was thinking like if I just wore it in my office.
Could you work from it essentially? Or do stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, because you could still use like an external keyboard, right? So I was thinking right now, on my desk, I have 2 monitors, right? And this one will be kind of cool because you could have as many virtual monitors as you want. You could actually piggyback it off of your PowerBook or my MacBook. So that was originally what I was thinking, but then I'm still like, it's $4,500 for like, a monitor,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
I don't think
it doesn't
worth
make any sense.
I think that Apple does a good job with other things. Like, for example, the Apple Watch is a prime example of like, all right, you can get your text messages to it, you can get your fitness tracker. It has a lot more applications for it as a whole versus like the Vision thing. You can get the Meta one for $3,000 less.
Yeah,
$4,000.
and it was funny. The Apple Watch, they were talking about that, and they said that Apple has this. That if you think about what they do, when they released the Apple Watch, they kind of released it not knowing how people were going to use it. Like if you think about that first generation one, right? It didn't have all the health features. It was just kind of a watch
that's tied to your phone.
Would beep or whatever. And over the course of the generations, right, they sort of dialed it in and realized how people were using it, mainly as a health tracking device, right?
Yep.
And checking your, what the heck is that email that just came in without having to go to your phone, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. And so they sort of have fine-tuned it around those areas. And so the expectation, I think, is this Vision goggle thing will be the same, right? They release this. It's the early adopters. They figure people are going to use it, and they'll figure out how people are actually using it. And then subsequent generations will sort of dial it in, which makes sense, and I'm sure that's what's going to happen. But I was like,
yeah,
I just couldn't do it, man. I couldn't do it.
I definitely think they missed something just because, like you said, maybe it's just like the first iteration of it, but they jacked the price up.
Yeah, it's
super
ridiculous.
like
It's
they
just,
scouched it like compared to the technology that's in it. And by all means, I'm like a layman when it comes to like what's actually going into it.
Yeah, I mean the reviews side by side with the MetaQuest. I mean it's not even close.
It's the same thing, and it just Apple tends to have like the closing loop on their stuff. They want to keep everything into their tree of products. You want to have the Apple Watch that connects to your Apple phone and so on and so forth. So I think where Apple computers, and it's ironic considering I have one, kind of lacks is the adaptability to have what PC has. Is so you could mix and master everything. Like if I want an NVIDIA part or if I want to.
Well, so that's always been sort of that's the advantage of the Apple ecosystem is that it is closed, right? So what ends up happening, right, is that's the problem with I think. With Windows and even on the Android side is it's always been an open platform, and what happens is you get all this, everybody's kind of doing their own different thing, and it ends up screwing it up, and that's the reason why it's an issue, right? That's why Apple's always kind of kept their ecosystem closed. But
yeah, I think there's
pros and cons.
I was going to say I think there's a very very much a pro and a con to that definition, because I could build what Apple's charging like $50K for that cheese grater looking thing. I don't know what it is. Like it's like $50K. You could build the same exact one, if not better, for like $5,000 if you did it yourself. $10,000. I don't know truly what's all in it, but you get what I'm trying to say. Of like you're just
actually, I think that's
name.
kind of a debunked non-truth. At the time, they actually said all the components in that were legitimately kind of what they were charging
cutting
for,
edge
right?
stuff?
Because they had like cutting edge GPUs and stuff like that. It was designed for people that were doing Photoshop and Final Cut and all that other stuff, right? But at the time, the components that were in that were pretty solid.
You get to a point where
you're paying an Apple premium, but
I was going to say
it's not like they were
point where you
totally ripping you off.
You can't even notice like the difference like past a certain point. Like the whole argument between like if you have a 60 frame monitor and you have a 120 or 144 hertz monitor, you could tell the difference. You have 144 and a 240, I think is the next spec up, or 250.
Yeah.
You could tell a difference. If you have a 250 and like anything above that, are you truly going to be able to tell? Probably not. I could imagine it being the same thing for that. However, on the lower end side of things, if you have like a $600 computer versus a $2,000 computer, you're going to be able to tell like a ginormous gap.
Yeah.
So
in theory.
I don't know there, but it's curious to see. I kind of want to parlay this into the next conversation.
Well, so before we move on, right? Yeah. So I think the one thing that was kind of interesting, and I was actually, if you go on Apple's website, you can basically sign up for a demo where you go into the store and they will literally like handhold you for 30 minutes on how it works and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was traveling in Chicago this week, and I was like, I had some free time and I was going to go and do it. And I kind of chickened out because I was like, I know if I go and put the damn thing on my head, I'm going to be like, I got to get this. I got to get this, right? So I was like, screw it. I'm not going. But I know you were using MindNode earlier, right? Which is a mind mapping application on the Mac. So that's available for Vision Pro. So you, in theory, like you could put the goggles on and have your mind map in front of you. And I guess, and I'm thinking you can, I mean, so this is where I'm trying to figure out what the applications are. Like, does that mean like I can use my fingers and start moving, the MindNode or the mind mapping around? And how do you create?
I think eventually, excuse me, I think eventually it'll come to that point. I don't think it's there quite yet.
I don't know. So I mean,
it's like it sounds like you're wanting to make an excuse as to why to buy it, like versus like you clearly know that it's like not there yet.
I mean, honestly, in my head, I mean, I think my expectation is I buy them, right, and I almost get rid of my MacBook, right? It becomes my computer, which isn't what it is, right? It's not a standalone. It's weird because it has an M2 processor. But it's not I don't even know. That's what I'm saying. Like,
you don't
can
know,
I install Office and can I actually do like Outlook and Excel? All of them are available supposedly in Vision Pro formatted apps, right? So do I need my MacBook anymore? Can I get rid of my computer and can I just wear those and do my emails and all, my PowerPoint and stuff like that? Because
there you go. Use the 15-day trial and then give it a try.
I know, but
I'm just kidding.
Because I was like, because my MacBook's actually getting kind of old. It's like 3 or 4 years old now, and so I was like, do I go out and buy like an M3 Pro Max, which is still cheaper than the Vision Pros, which is kind of crazy, right? You can get a maxed out like MacBook, and still it's going to be cheaper than Vision Pro.
I know.
Right? So it's like,
and to that point, I do love this computer for its applications within the ecosystem. So, I know that you're all in on the Apple stuff.
Well,
so,
clearly I'm
but I don't know. I think that it's something, if you were really trying to substitute it for your station over here, it might be worth trying it for the trial period versus like sacrifice. Like, all right, I'm selling burning the, what's the expression? Getting rid of the baby for the bathwater or something like. I don't know. My one coworker fucking says that.
I mean seriously. I mean, I have no problems like in my head justifying why I need it. Right. I mean, I can come up with all the excuses in the world why I need it. And the reality is I'm like, it's fucking $4,500.
I know.
That's not like chicken change. I mean, I get it, but I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's expensive.
I'm curious to see how it does because like we talked about earlier, you noticed the iteration difference earlier on, like from the iPhone 1 to the 2 to the 3 to the 4. You notice it more versus the iPhone 10 to the 14 to the 15.
I think clearly, I mean, I don't know what their internal expectations were, but, the one thing that you noticed immediately is when an iPhone ships or a new MacBook ships or a new iMac ships, a new anything ships from Apple, usually that first day, right, if you don't get it in the first like 5 minutes, you're waiting a month or two because they're out of stock. This was never the case. I mean, I literally, like, I thought, I got to get it. It's going to be so jacked up, hyped. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to get it. And sure enough, I go back like a day or two later and I could walk into the store and buy it immediately, right?
Realistically, think about it though. Think about who it's catered to. It's not an everyday item.
I know.
You know what I mean? So it's more of like a luxury item for people who are probably have the excess funds to do that versus like a phone. You can make the argument like, yes, you're still paying a luxury for an iPhone, but it's more of an everyday item. You know what I mean?
And I'm assuming with all the returns, because I know there were probably a notoriously high amount. I think they denied it, but I mean, that all these freaking influencers and stupid asses that were like dropping them and doing stuff returned everything, right? So I would imagine that there's going to be a flood of on their used site, right? They have that recertified site. You can probably, if you just have some patience, you can probably. I'm sure you can probably get it for whatever it is, $500-$600, right? You basically at that point it becomes you buy it and you sort of get the warranty for free kind of thing. I don't know, but I didn't pull the trigger and I was tempted to do it, and I in my head I was like, yes, I'm going to get this and we're going to do a podcast about it and I'm going to wear it during the podcast.
I look like a jackass.
And I mean, I wanted to get it day one so we could do it and it would mean something, but I was like, everybody else and their mother's going to be doing that, and it was $4,500. In case I didn't make that point clear.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money.
I think
I know I'm not returning it. That's the other thing.
Yeah. Well, here's my thing. Here's my parlay into everything. I think that the bottom line is, and kind of moving away, but also keeping the conversation still relevant, is VR is definitely something that has been talked about for the past 5 years, and it's like, this is the future. We're doing everything VR. We're doing this. This is the thing, and it's like I came to a realization that there is like 3 pillars moving forward, and I think that you have so starting earlier, you have OpenAI, which is generating content, generating a space for you to make me a sentence, code me this, code me that. So it's like the open source content. You have the VR, which parlays to that because then you could live the thing that you talked about the AI to do. So you have OpenAI, you have VR, which is experiencing and living vicariously through the things that it's coming up with. Then the third thing, and the third pillar of it would be crypto and NFTs and everything in that part, which is owning that content that you then generated and experienced. So it's creation, experience, and ownership, which is like a weird thing to kind of think about, considering not a human being is creating it. It pops up. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that they could all live vicariously through each other, and it took me a minute to realize it. Cause I'm like, Web3, like we haven't really seen much, and then
Web3 kind of faded.
But then more recently, it's starting to pop off. Like Ethereum just hit 3,000, so it's like, are we ever going to be back in that golden era of when me and you were putting $100 in and jumping sky high, or is it like dead for a little bit? Like, what does that? I'm curious to hear your take on it, because you've had a little bit more experience with the stock market, the traditional stock market, and seeing it versus now. Like, what does that kind of look like? Obviously, all speculation. We're not financial advisors.
So I know we talked last time we were on the pod, which was, I guess, well over a month ago, right?
I think it was with Rafi, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think we sort of talked briefly about how crypto was sort of making a rebound. And I think at the time I was like, is it only Ethereum and Bitcoin that are sort of going back up, or are all the stupid ass, dogs that there's a gazillion of them, are they all just still in the garbage? And I honestly haven't looked, and I'm assuming, I think I did look, and I think what's driving that price increase, and again, I'm not a financial advisor and I don't really know, I just kind of casually looked, but I think what's driving that is there's a crap ton of EFTs, or mutual funds, that are now investing in crypto, right? That was always lacking earlier on. Like when we were doing it, there were no like mutual funds. Like you couldn't go to Fidelity, or you couldn't go to like Vanguard,
right?
And you couldn't like invest in crypto in the kind of traditional sense that you can with stocks, right? And that's recently changed. And so I think, I mean, I don't know entirely, but I think that the reason that there's been such a spike is there's a whole bunch of these mutual funds or EFTs that are coming online around crypto coin. And they're obviously mandated, right? As money is inflowing, that they have to go out and buy it, right? So I think that's created the market that's kind of going on right now. And the reality is, I mean, usually when EFTs and mutual funds come in and there's activity there, right, there's some stability, even more so than before. So it's quite possible that, Bitcoin and at least Ethereum are here to stay, and you might not see those huge fluctuations that we saw before, because now there's some stability and backing around these mutual funds that are getting money.
I think what, Joe, you're also talking about too, and kind of dumbing that down, right? Like when you talk about the S&P 500 or something of that nature, they hold percentages of industries. Like, for example, I had to pull it up just to make sure. So you're talking about like technology owning like 24.4% of it, healthcare being in that 14%. Right. You're saying they're buying like a percentage of crypto, correct? I
mean, what basically happens is like you go to work and you have a 401k with that company, right? So every time you get a paycheck, whatever it is, 5%, 10% of your pay goes into the 401k, and the 401k is made up of a bunch of different mutual funds that you select. And so I don't know, say you make $1,000 a week, and 10% of it's going in. So $100 is going into your 401k. What really is happening is that $100 is going into whatever you selected. And then, so say it's a Fidelity S&P 500. So when that $100 goes into that Fidelity S&P 500, they have to basically buy $100 worth of the S&P 500, so it matches their what they're saying they're doing in that portfolio. So even if the market's going down, you're still putting that $100 in, right? You're buying lower, but they have to buy. So that creates, I don't want to call it artificial, but it creates it creates an inflow of money even in the bad times that sort of stabilizes it from just completely bottoming out, right? Because you're never actually going to call up and say, I got to get all my money out of the 401k.
Yeah. Because there's also a huge tax to take it out, right?
If you take it out, right.
So that's what you were saying, I believe, because now a percentage point is going dedicated towards crypto.
Yes.
I think a big part was
vastly smaller than like an S&P or a technology fund, but it's emerging now. And so I think that's creating some sort of a foundational base where you're not seeing in one day it dropping 20%, right? It's got a fundamental base where it's got some incoming capital to sort of keep it afloat.
Talking stocks, Nvidia too is sky.
Jesus Christ!
I know you were an early investor when it was kind of lower. Are you still holding on?
Yes, I still have it. Unfortunately, it's gone up so much that it's sort of outbalancing my portfolio. Right, it's such a large percentage of my stock portfolio. It's crazy.
It's like over 600, isn't it?
Well, so I think it just reached $2 trillion in valuation. It went from $1 trillion to $2 trillion in literally 2 weeks.
Well,
it was insane.
They announced their Q1 earnings the other day.
Yeah, they blew it out, and it went up
because I know it was like a gamble. It was like it's either going to go super down low or it's going to go super up.
I mean, it literally went up like $180 in one day. Yeah. It's just nuts.
Sure. Absolutely. I know that they said that their market cap's higher than Canada's entire.
Yeah, I mean, they're
whatever it is. So
I don't know how many are over $2 trillion at this point. I mean, I think they just outpaced Google, so I think it's only Apple and Microsoft that are maybe bigger.
I know that they said that the workers were getting lazier because the software engineers were getting paid stock, and then
they're all millionaires.
They're all millionaires now.
They said that. I mean, it's good and bad, right? They're nobody's leaving, right? Nobody's quitting and going anywhere, so there's great stability there, but. Yeah, you probably. I mean, I'm sure Microsoft went through this back in the day, right? I mean,
but now you have all these millionaires working for you.
The janitor is a millionaire, right?
Yeah, that's like the guy with Facebook. He was the guy that painted the mural in the thing, and he got offered a small percentage of stock, and he ended up coming up a couple $1 million or a couple $100,000. So
that's how wealth was created, right? Is typically in the stock market and just being at the right place at the right time.
There's just so much money in the technology, and kind of going back to that, we were talking about technology and where everything's going. I don't know if you saw on the 15th, OpenAI released their Sora division, which is videos now being completely generated by AI.
Yep.
And if you've seen any of those videos, it's uncanny how realistic it is. I remember, I think a year ago, it popped up on my timeline that there was an AI video of Will Smith eating pasta, but it looked super unrealistic. Nowadays, it's uncanny of how real it looks, and it's just unreal. It's crazy, honestly, how that looks. So
well, I know they're all over TikTok, right? All these
fake video and stuff, and I'm curious to see if there's going to be a counter AI to almost detect the fake videos, because there has to be. Because if I'm being serious, if, for example, one of my parents who are not super tech savvy were to see some of these videos, they would think it's shot on
they wouldn't even think twice
whatever it is, a
typical
camera that's shot to shoot video. So super interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's an interesting time we're in. They were someone, I forget who I was listening to, but someone was talking about how most of us have most people in history have sort of lived through what we'll call one revolution, changing thing. In the early 1900s, it was cars, right? It was Ford and all the mass-produced cars, and you could say the internet boom in 2000 was this is the first time that we've got people that have actually experienced several of these revolutionary changes in the industry. And because, quite frankly, we're at a sort of an inflection point with this whole AI thing that's just going to go batshit crazy. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Just to rattle off a few, right? Like you said, well, at least in my lifetime, so the past 24 years, it's been the the 2000 internet boom. I guess like if you want, you could say like one of those like turning points. I mean, was the 2008 crash. I don't know if you would want to say that was like a crazy crash, but it was pretty bad. The third thing right off the top, obviously the whole COVID thing, obviously making people a little bit go psycho with that. There was something else that was weird. It was like something in Texas. Like Texas got snow for the first time in like 100 years. I don't know what part of Texas, but I know that happened.
Well, that was that thing where all the windmills froze. And
something was super weird. Like this happened the first time in 100 years, and it's like, we heard this before. Yeah. And then the whole AI situation. So I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going down that's kind of super crazy and weird. So I have no idea. I know we haven't talked since the Super Bowl either. So would you? Yeah, it's been a little bit. Obviously, Kansas City won there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I could care less, right? I mean, I think I wanted Kansas City to win only because of the Andy Reid and the whole Travis Kelce. It's kind of hard not to like just sort of get wrapped up in that whole crappy thing. But
dude, I saw the stupidest LinkedIn post. They were like, Andy Reid getting yelled at by Travis Kelce is a demonstration of poor leadership, and then went on a tangent about how
people are just fucking
how
stupid.
It related to.
I mean, it was kind of wild.
Hold on,
I mean,
it's
not something you typically see in a football game. I mean, let's be honest. But
here it is.
I mean, it's like
now imagine seeing this on a LinkedIn page. So whenever you read it, like they use these corny fucking things. Toxic followership is just as bad as toxic #leadership. Public displays of disrespect, and I'll say it. Insubordination can cause an organization's crash an organization's #culture. Once is an understandable, and I'm sure he and Andy Reid had words after the helmet throw incident, but twice shows an attitude of entitlement and disregard for the #team. It doesn't matter how talented the individual is. If a person can't handle his role as a member of a team, he's cancerous. I'm curious how the old ball coach will handle this one. #time's yours. Fucking LinkedIn, bro. I hate these people, bro.
People just have nothing better to do.
No. And
the fact that people are like analyzing it like even ad nauseum months later, it's like, Jesus Christ, who cares?
Yeah, I know. I saw that and I was like,
white
I
noise.
barely go on LinkedIn, and when I do, I see like, oh, this person got a job, person got a job, and it's like someone I never followed before, and I'm like reading, I'm like, all right, screenshot this, absolute garbage.
I mean, like if he punched him or shot him, I'd be like, okay, that's probably a little extreme, but like, come on. I mean,
I
it's.
know.
Holy Christ. But yeah, so I mean, the game itself sucked for the first half. It was just absolutely awful.
Well, the marketing leading up to it was also kind of lackluster.
Oh, I want to talk about the marketing. So
like,
anyway,
going up to it was like this Sunday's the Super Bowl. Like usually before it's like you kind of are hyped, get into it. Like maybe last year was a little bit obviously.
Oh, I mean, it was all Taylor Swift. Will her plane make it in time? I mean, it was just fucking ridiculous.
Last year was a little bit like biased because obviously it was like our home teams going into it, but like every year before that, I remember the Super Bowl having such a crazy lead up. This year was just like you said, like more centered around outside of the game versus inside of the game, like Taylor Swift's whole debacle, or what was the other one? Christian McCaffrey's like dad won a Super Bowl, so people wanted him to win a Super Bowl because his dad was also coached by whoever the 49ers coach is. Like it was just like a bunch of outside shit versus actual players playing the actual teams playing. So what were you about to say about the marketing?
No, I mean the second half was fabulous, but
yes, it was.
And overtime was kind of interesting because I mean, like a lot of people, I thought that the 15 minutes, the game was over, right? And because it was this new rule that no one knew about, except apparently the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Even though the clock was potentially going to wind down to 15, they scored right before that. But
six
if it had gone to 15, they still would have kept the ball and they just moved to the other end of the field. So there was a lot of confusion around that because everybody thought the game was about to end.
I mean, just cements. I mean, massive props to Patrick Mahomes. Like, dude, he's literally insane. After coming off of Tom Brady's run of however many years he was dominant to now having a second guy who's like
you didn't think it was going to happen, but it certainly seems like it's going to happen.
And he's definitely earned a lot of people's respect, at least from the people I was watching.
It's crazy. But no, so the obviously the thing that always gets talked about is advertising, right? And I just gotta, I'll be honest with you, I'm watching the game, and I always watch the commercials because I'm like, I get marketing, right? And I'm like, these people are spending like tens of millions of dollars on these 30-second commercials, right? Between
God, yeah.
the cost and the stars they put on, and I'm like watching, and I swear, like the entire first half, I was like, these people are wasting their goddamn money. I mean, it's just a sheer waste of money. You're getting absolutely no ROI on this.
No, like, and let me add to that real quick. You had the Jesus one come on 2 times.
Yes.
And then you had the Temu come on 4 times, I think, or 3 times.
Crazy.
So right there alone, I think each spot's around $6,000 or $7,000 or $1 million. $21 million just in advertisement for something that's probably not going to pay you back the whole.
No, not a chance
thing.
in hell. It's lost money.
And the funniest thing is when you watch something and you're like, what the hell was it even for? You don't know what the hell it's for. It's like, but like a family holding each other, everyone's crying, and at the end it'll be like Kia or something.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they all try and go outside the box. I mean, shit. The only commercial that I even remember is obviously the J-Lo and Ben Affleck one for Dunkin' Donuts, right?
That one was good. With Tom Brady was in it, and he was playing the that was good.
He was like the DJ.
Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah.
Like that's the only one that I'm like, okay, they might have got their money's worth out of it, because all the other ones were just god awful.
But
awful.
does Dunkin' Donuts need that spot though? Like, or is it more just like a flex for them? Like, because everyone and their mother knows who Dunkin' Donuts is. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
Like, that's just probably just like, let's just do it because we have the money to do it. Let's just get it. Like, make sure people are like, hey, we got money.
Every year I do this. I'm in my head. I'm like, okay, so Dunkin' Donuts has all these superstars, so they paid millions just in salaries for those guys to show up
for that.
And I'm like, okay, so that commercial cost them $20 million, right? It's probably not out of the line, And I'm like, a cup of coffee's like $7. That's a shit ton of coffee they have to sell, right? And not only that, right? So like you just said, right? Everybody knows who Dunkin' Donuts is. So it's not that they have to sell like $20 million worth of coffee. In theory, right? They need to generate $20 million in new business to justify it.
Yep.
Right? How the hell do they do that? I'm like, there's just no way. There's no way they get their money out of that.
And a lot of the people I'm talking to too, including yourself, it's just so ironic that we called out Dunkin' Donuts, and this is I like Dunkin' Donuts coffees compared to other major chains, but a lot of the people that I know typically like to support localer shops versus the bigger ones, and I know that you kind of were doing it too.
I try, and it's so hard.
But so the thing that these bigger corporations have is the convenience of location. You know what I mean? Like they're in every single city, every block. Like in New York, I'm sure you can't walk. Like there's like a thing going around with like 200 feet. There's a Starbucks or something.
I mean, that's the reality, right? I mean, I hate to say it because I really do try to support local coffee shops when I'm traveling, but goddamn, Starbucks is just so freaking convenient.
It's super convenient, and if you're like in New York, going to the Reserve is almost like a treat in itself. You're like, I'm going here.
I mean, that's a little different, right? Yeah. I mean, but the local ones, I mean, they're everywhere, right? You don't have to look. I'm like, okay, I need to stop for coffee. Boom, it's there, right? Yeah. You know, if you want to find a local shop, you unfortunately you got to go online, right? And then you're like, okay, I found it. Oh, it's 20 minutes away. That 20-minute trip, there's 6 Starbucks like from there to there, right? And it's like, God.
And it's like almost 2. I went to one with Alex earlier this week, who's also interested in starting his own coffee business. He bought a trailer. He's going to start his own thing. I'm doing some of the branding for that. Nonetheless, a lot of these coffee shops where we met at are charging just as much as Starbucks is. Like the whole thing with Starbucks is, oh my God, it's so damn expensive. But I went to this coffee shop down in Downingtown, and they charged me for it was like a latte, or not a latte. It was a hot coffee, but I added a cold foam on top, like a strawberry cold foam on top. It was like $6.
Yeah.
So
I'll top that. So Starbucks just started selling in the local stores the Oleto. I'm probably not saying it right. Oleto or whatever,
I know what you're
right?
talking about, yeah.
Which is the olive oil infused cold foam.
Have you tried it?
I love it, right?
Oh, you love it?
I
okay,
do.
Okay, I didn't try it. I saw it on the menu.
So I ordered one the other day, and I'm like, okay, it's $8, right, for that. And then I'm like, well, I want to get. This is funny. I want to get less of the one of the ingredients is toffee syrup, right? It's a toffee flavored syrup, and I don't want the sugar, right? So and it's like 6 pumps in a venti. I'm like, yeah, let's just do one, right? I just need to take the flavor. I don't need the sugar. So I think like as soon as you do that, that's a custom coffee, right?
So, yeah, you're adding
So
taxing
they charge $1 more to take less out. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
Oh my God.
I was done, and I was like, holy shit, this is like a $9.50 drink. Because I forget, I changed something else because I was like, I don't know, maybe I wanted an extra shot of olive oil in it or something like that. Because when you're on keto, it's
so they
perfect.
put the olive oil inside the coffee. I thought they infused it.
So the olive oil, I think, is in the foam. But now, so Starbucks has added that you can actually request a shot of olive oil that they'll put in any of the coffees, but they'll charge.
You're drinking
like $2
motor
for
oil
it.
at that point. What the fuck are you doing?
It's not that bad. I mean, but I really do like the taste, and
But like, yeah,
but
I
it's.
don't know.
I mean, it literally.
$10 is insane, dude.
I'm like, holy shit, this is a $9 freaking drink.
So think about that. Instead of going to get a $10 coffee, you have at your house. You can make fucking 30 coffees for $10.
I'm not arguing with you.
Because that's my mindset. Like, I don't even go to these places. And we used to go to this place in Kennett, which is relatively close to where we're at. It's called Hearth Kitchen. Fantastic food, by the way. Shout out to them. After Hearth, we'd go to Starbucks because it's right next door. So we'd eat like a fucking $100 meal, and we're like, oh, I want to buy a coffee now. It's another $10. So we're like at $110 fucking dollars for the night. And then I'm like, I was telling Taylor, should we go to Starbucks after this? I never usually am the one to say that. She's like, we have the Nespresso at the house, and Nespresso is good coffee, but it's not what you have. You have the fucking, the gizmos. You could steam it up, tickles your balls, does the whole fucking 9 yards. So I don't know, man. I think spending that type of money is just a waste, considering how much the coffee costs.
It's convenience, man. You're there, right?
No,
it's
man,
easy to go in and say, "Hey,
you're at your fucking house."
Give me a venti cold brew with some cold foam and all kinds of other shit, and it's there in 30 seconds, and you're off and running, right?
I don't know, man. It's insane how the inflation is the past couple of years, dude. It's nuts. I can't even justify getting a cup of coffee out anymore.
It's getting harder every day.
But then again, the Nespresso pods are $1.15. We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
So like you're at a lose-lose. I would like to like start a coffee thing, or like if my friend, like I said, my friend Alex, if he starts one up, have like a special blend, like an exclusive blend. You know what I mean? That would be just cool to kind of like be involved with.
We just have to wait for that stupid ass vape shop to go out of business. What a fucking dumb thing that was.
In Cockerville.
Yeah, so in our local neighborhood, like we're like 35 miles out in the sticks, right? I mean, this is not the sticks, but it's not the beaten path. And there's a storefront that's close to our house that they put a vape shop in, and I'm like, this place is never going to make money.
I know.
Talk about money laundering. There's like no way.
I know. Yeah, I wonder. Like, that place has always been vacant, though.
I know,
wonder what
it's
it is,
weird.
because there must be like a bad juju there, or like
Something.
the owner doesn't want to sell, so he just keeps. It's like rent. You're pissing money away if you're not making the money. I don't know. It's always been vacant. They did add a boba shop around here, which
Where?
in Oxford.
Oh, yeah.
And it's good, but like around here, I don't know who's going to be
Natalie
getting
and Ida went, but
Yeah, it's good. I like it. Hayden doesn't like it as much, but
yeah, no, whatever. I mean, it's just crazy. I don't know. I just break everything down, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, well, yeah, especially with coffee too. Like coffee like,
makes sense because there's so much margin. I mean, think about
the margin on coffee is ridiculous, but the amount of coffees you have to sell is also just as ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like on coffee, you're paying what? You can make a coffee for 10 cents, cups like
whatever it is, it's
50
cheap.
cents. You're paying for the branding more than anything with that.
But convenience, man. It's just like that crap is just there. It's just so easy to do.
So in traditional exclusive mind podcast fashion, well, there's one thing we haven't talked about that's starting to surface around, and that's the whole Yeezy pods. The Yeezy Kanye coming around and everything. I bought something off his website for $20.
I saw that. So I it's kind of interesting because he that's basically the clothes he designed for Gap, and then
something like that.
Never dropped them. But yeah, he's selling seriously, those T-shirts, if they went out on Gap or Balenciaga, would have been ridiculous amounts of money. He's selling for $20.
So it's kind of cool, and I've never seen this in business history in my lifetime. Maybe you have. At first, when he came out with the pods, the shoes, the Yeezy pods, it looks like he said they were inspired by this Italian footwear. Anyhow, they were $200 for the pod. They reduced them to $20, and he's refunding everyone the $180 that bought this shoe, which I've never seen before. I don't know if you've ever seen anything like a refund of that high stature before, but that's crazy.
I'm going to assume that it's just that he has FU money at this point. I mean, and he really truly is a guy who's like FU, and he's sticking it to everybody. And I don't know how else he can do it. I mean, the shit with his wife is freaking crazy, right, on
She's
social
always
media.
naked.
I mean,
She's
I mean,
always naked.
I don't get that, but more power to him. He seems to be happy, but
Absolutely, yeah.
and I know he's actually gotten on on social media and go, "F you all, I'm happy as can be."
Yeah,
Right?
he's like,
I'm
post your wife. Yeah.
Whatever you want to do, man. You want to parade around naked online, go for it, dude.
I know he's got the game in a.
But the whole clothing thing is really kind of interesting. I don't really like any of it, but
I ordered one of the shirts. It has a big one on the back of it. It was $20. I was like, I'll buy it, test it out. If I like it, I don't. But it was weird because the sizings were.
Yeah.
It was 1, 2, and 3, and I think by accident I didn't recognize. I thought it was like a one size all type thing. So I have a 1 in my cart. It's not gonna fucking fit me probably, but we'll see how it goes. I'll give it to Hayden
a
or
1
something.
is an extra small or small. A 2 is a medium to large, and a 3 is a large to extra large.
Okay,
and I
so-
think he does everything based on his body type, which is stocky. So, because I remember, like, I'm thinking, I need an extra large, and I end up ordering an extra large, and it's like a freaking tent.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, let's hope that the 1 will fit, but it probably won't. So I'll have to give it to somebody.
According to this, the 1 is an extra small to small.
Okay, so it's not going to fit. So we'll have it to test the material. I think I emailed someone that was like, hey, could I get a 2? Which sounds ridiculous ordering it. It's like just as bad as Starbucks when you say, can I get a venti versus a large? But we're here, so
yeah, I'm wondering how this whole thing's working because he clearly still owns the Yeezy name, right? You would think that would. I don't know.
No,
I mean,
he would do that, and because that was his brand beforehand.
So the pods are. I'm looking at those too. Like, what the hell?
Think about it. Though. Think about it like this, Joe. When he's
it's a sock
buying it, when he's buying stuff, think about how much we get it for versus how much he's probably getting it for. He's probably still making profit off of that, I would imagine. Somewhere.
Not a lot. I mean,
it's probably thin. It's probably thin margin.
At
but
these numbers, dude, even if he's going to China and
let's say he's buying 200,000, he's probably getting.
I'm telling you, he's making money. Clearly,
he's making money off it
but it's not like.
Because you could start customizing stuff around the 100 minute.
Well, I mean, so right? This is the reason I think he can get away with this is because as soon as you cut out all the middle people.
Adidas.
Okay, so Adidas, right? I mean, that's the reason why those shoes are $220 because Adidas has got to pay for all these freaking athlete contracts and all this marketing bullshit, and they need their cut, which is right? If it's a $30 sweatshirt and they're selling it for $180, right? It's all to cover their marketing and their stores,
right, research and development,
and all this other shit. He's got none of that, right? He's going directly to China or wherever it might be, Vietnam. I don't know where the hell this shit's made. I mean, it might even be made here for all I know.
I think it's in Italy. He was saying.
And he is buying directly from them, and he's got his own team that's probably doing all the logistics and stuff like that. And boom,
he's probably running it thin, like how Twitter is.
He is not making a lot of money. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Well,
but
his margins are probably thin, but his team's also probably thin. Versus like having the Adidas having, 18
I gotta order these pods, man. They're pretty cool. They're like it's like a sock.
Oh Jesus, I shouldn't have brought it up.
But it folds up. I hadn't seen it yet. I'm looking at it right now. It's
supposed to be like a house shoe. I think. I don't know if you can wear it out. Maybe you can. I don't know.
It's a sock. It's like a heavy sock.
I wanted to talk about one thing.
Everything's $20 though. You gotta love this guy.
I know. So we'll see. I ordered it 2 weeks ago. It should be coming in soon.
Oh, I love it. I love this guy. So what happened with his record? So what's the deal there? Is he self-producing that too? It's not through a label?
No, everything's through him. I think he sold over 200,000 units, which is
Have you
incredible.
heard any of it?
I did. All good stuff. It's a different style from what he's used to.
Is it just him or
it's him and a guy, Ty Dolla $ign collab album. A lot of features on it, but if he's releasing,
so he actually has people coming on and.
Oh my God, he has like so many features on it. He has all these guys on it. No, I don't think no one
still, even after all the bullshit, they're still working on it.
Who's gonna cancel that guy, dude?
It's fucking great.
That's why, when you are in a position where he's at,
he's like the I don't even know if
I
don't know what I can legally say anymore, right? He's like the black Kid Rock or the African American Kid Rock.
Why? What did Kid Rock do?
Well, Kid Rock's the same way, right? He's you can't cancel him because he doesn't fucking care, right?
Yeah, okay, maybe so. When you have money like that, man, sure. Something close to the vest, and this kind of correlates to this conversation we had too. Well, close to my vest, not so much to yours.
You shouldn't have mentioned this because now I'm going to be ordering shit.
All right,
I'm going to
lock
order
lock back in. Focus.
I need
ordered
to, sorry,
afterwards.
man. I need to order the number one shirt. That's pretty cool. What's
That's
the deal
the-
with this thing? It looks like it's got the German sign. Is he like?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't I have no idea.
Oh, this is his album, right? Isn't Vultures?
Vultures is the album. So Optic is
Why does
suing.
it has the German like what's the
Yeah, I don't know the symbolism, the two birds or whatever.
yeah.
Optic is suing COD for having a monopoly over the esports scene.
Who?
Optic is an organization within Call of Duty. Call of Duty owns obviously Activision, or Activision owns Call of Duty. So they're suing Optic for having a monopoly. So one of the team inside of it is suing them. Basically, there's a pay-in to get a team into the league. So I think there's like 10 teams or something like that, or 12 teams. Each team is required to pay $27.5 million as an entry fee.
Jesus.
And there's 12 teams allowed into the COD League, giving Activision an unconditional 50% share of the revenue generated from the ticket sales, sponsorships, etc. In doing so, they worked out a deal, Activision that is, worked out a deal with Google for so Google provides a service, Google Suite, Google Teams, so they are like, hey, we'll bring you all this business on this front if you give us a higher discount for your services, which is Suite or whatever. So they're basically using their platform that the guys are paying $27.5 million to get into as leverage to get Google Suites cheaper or something like that. Something along those lines.
Google Suites. What the hell is that?
Or Google, whatever it is, like to the emails and all that shit.
Isn't
like,
that shit free already? I mean, why are they
probably
paying?
not for a corporate level. Like they're using it internally. I'm not too sure there. So anyway, nonetheless,
You just went off, and I have no fucking clue where. I mean, you're just like, I mean, that whole thing. Like,
all right, so listen.
if this is where we edit, I'd be editing that shit out. I don't even know what the hell you just said. So
Listen, so
it's esports, and then the next thing I know, it's talking about Google Chrome and Google Mail.
Listen,
Like,
listen.
fuck.
I'm trying to break this down. So basically, Call of Duty is owned by Activision.
Which is owned by Microsoft. So why the fuck would they even be using Google anything?
Because they have. This is where I'm going with this. They have a partnership with YouTube to produce their streams on YouTube instead of going to Twitch, which YouTube's owned by Google. So there's something to do where it's like
isn't Twitch or Discord owned by Microsoft? Discord's owned by Microsoft.
Discord is not. Discord has nothing to do with
whatever,
this.
right?
Anyway, nonetheless, they're getting sued. So it's
Sued for what?
for this monopoly that they have over the esports community.
Okay, there's a million other esports that are out.
Yes.
There is.
So in order
They
to
have
play,
a monopoly on Call of Duty, which
yes.
okay, that's their IP. So that what the fuck?
I'll tell you what. I'll read it. I'll read
It
it
doesn't make
verbatim.
any sense to me. You want to play their game, go for it, but you're going to pay the
Wielding
price.
in unlawful monopoly power over virtual nuclear weapons, Activision corrected 12 teams to pay $27.5 million as an entry fee for privilege of being one of the 12 teams allowed to participate in the Activision COD League.
So does Fortnite have a Fortnite monopoly? Does Roblox have a Roblox
No,
monopoly?
because you don't have to pay to get into them.
I beg to differ, but okay.
Give Activision an unconditional 50% share of revenue the team generated from ticket sales, sponsorships, and other revenue streams. Activision,
So it's like the
See-
NFL. The NFL's taking a cut
Right.
of everything. So
Exactly.
I mean, it's
But I think there was a
I don't know, man. It's just.
so basically what it sounds like is
I mean, how
there
many
was something
Call
to
of
do with
Duty esports things have there been? It seems like there's always something going on.
I know there's always something going on, but anyway, nonetheless, they're taking all this money and they're just fired. There's been a whole bunch of corporate layoffs at Activision and within the Infinity Ward Spectrum or whoever the fuck's producing COD these days. And essentially, I say all this to say the game's broken now. It didn't work all day yesterday, and I don't know if it fixed itself today. So now,
Doesn't matter. Elden Ring's DLC's coming out in June,
Christ, here
so
we go, this
the
guy.
world ends.
I want to hear your take because we were talking about going through a bunch of
Greatest
loopholes.
fucking thing ever.
Going through a bunch of loopholes and what that means. So the problem stemming from just like hackers kind of ruining the game of COD. And that obviously comes from there not being a sound anti-cheat, which these hackers can break into, because every 3 months, I would imagine they update the anti-cheat because they have to go through their corporate. It's like, I have to go to this person to get clearance, to go to this person to get clearance.
So it's only a matter of time before Activision probably incorporates AI into the anti-cheat thing. That's going to make it really hard.
But that's the problem. I think there
It's
is
coming,
a little
I
bit
would
of it.
imagine.
Yeah, but like how? So I was going to ask, how do you think they keep up with the cheaters who are in probably like Russia or something like that? That it's like every day they could just get on their computer, type up a new cheat, and then release it. Versus Activision that has to like
I don't
get
even,
it so clear like that. You think it's AI is the solution there?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think they need to like take, like I heard someone, I think it was Nate Shot talked about it. He was like, they need to take down the webs or take down the servers for like a month, redevelop the whole thing, and fucking send it out.
That'll never happen. I mean,
Well, because they have a
it'll
bottom
never
line.
happen,
They have a
right?
bottom line to me,
Yeah.
right? Sure, but that's the thing.
You're
is,
talking
like,
about billions of dollars in revenue stream in a single month, right? So, I mean, I think AI is going to be the answer, right? They're going to have, AI evaluating users' play, and if it's outside of some sort of bounds that are established, it's clearly, an outside. It's a cheat. It's a rope. It's a bot. Whatever it might be, and flag that account, and boom, you're done.
I wonder how that's going to work if like someone's just that good at the game that they kind of outdo some of the perimeters.
I would imagine there'll be some sort of human evaluation in certain situations, but I don't know. But I mean, yeah, it's a tricky.
know.
You know what it is? Don't play the game. Just play a single person game and don't play a multiplayer. Don't worry about cheats. Who cares? That's why Elden Ring rules. It's not multiplayer. Nobody gives a shit unless you want to get your shit beat in by going on battlegrounds. Go for it. But I mean, you can play the game without having to worry about people cheating you and shit like that.
Yeah. I wonder, is there like cheaters?
Did I mention the DLC's coming out in June? So everyone's pretty excited.
Was there cheaters in Warcraft? Could you cheat in that game?
Yes. Well, so I don't know if there was. Yeah, you could cheat. Yeah, sure. I mean, it happened, and they would flag them and kick them off and do all that stuff. I mean, the primary cheating thing there was you would have farmers or farming teams. So, there was obviously an ecosystem where you could go to an auction site and basically sell shit in the game for, fake money that then what they would do is they would have these Chinese teams that would literally play characters 24/7, right? Okay. And they would just do nothing but go around and farm all the materials you need to make like the really cool shit. And then they would put it on the auction and they would start to collect money. And then you as a player would go to them and pay real world money for gold in game so you could buy shit. And so it was this vicious thing. And that was kind of how cheating really occurred in Warcraft for a long time.
And now does that not occur anymore?
It does, but the game's kind of normalized to where it used to be a finite set of like I don't know how to describe it, but like if you were mining, right, and you wanted to get some titanium ore to make the super duper max sword, there was only a finite number of like titanium things, and so unless you were constantly doing that, you missed out on it. Now it's been so like it's all normalized, right? So you can pretty much get whatever the hell you need if you just put the effort into it. So you don't necessarily need to pay like an
actual currency to
get a bot or something to do it. So it's a lot harder to get value out of that kind of thing.
Interesting stuff. Well, yeah, I'm curious to see where they go because
they have add-ons in the game, right? So I mean that's the other thing, right? Everybody they always had an open API where you could develop mods for the game, right? So your interface primarily, right? So that you could do certain things. And that's usually where the cheating occurred. Like someone would develop a mod that automated casting spells, or all you do is just roll your mouse over an opponent and it immediately fires like, an entire nuclear arsenal at them. And it was all automated to the point where it defeated the game's kind of logistics or, the play, the way it was supposed to be designed. And so there would always be a window where they would get away with it and then they would shut it down. I mean, it's probably the same thing with COD, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Call of Duty has a structure where it's like Apple. They don't allow for third parties to get involved, and when third parties do get involved, it is considered.
Well, then how do
cheating.
you cheat in the game? That's what I don't understand. Other
Because
than having a low latency connection, or spending a gazillion dollars on a fiber connection to
Yeah.
kind of you have a latency.
So, for example, like the thing with that is like the cheats primarily come from like aimbot, which is just automatic aim. So it's having an external source take over your thing and having it automatically know where people are at and stuff like that, which is a third party thing, but they don't specifically grant that. They don't have, I don't know if they have an open source code to like you can tap into.
Okay, yeah, all right, I get it.
So you can download something that then overrides it.
That's a piece of software that's residing on your computer that's kind of in between Call of Duty application and your mouse controls.
Yeah, it's not on to COD. You're not downloading it to
and
COD.
it's actually looking at Call of Duty and then overriding your mouse, and it just automates the whole. Okay, I get it. All right.
And then you
Makes
also
sense.
could like track people through
Yeah,
walls.
yeah, yeah.
So like you instead of like think of like a CCTV camera or a CCTV camera, there's like a red box that goes around and follows people through walls. So like, for example, if someone were to come in through that door, I would just be sitting here holding like a line of sight at the door where I typically wouldn't do that if I seen like a red box going through the door.
Right,
you know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's like hard to detect, but it's also easy to detect like when someone's cheating. But that's probably white noise for a lot of people listening.
Well, I mean,
getting into the weed of it. But,
no, I get it. I mean, that's it's frustrating. I
Yeah.
would imagine for sure.
but
Hell, I just suck without all the bots, right? I mean, I used to play. What was the game that we played?
Titanfall.
Titanfall, and I would just get my shit kicked in like in 30 seconds. I'd be like, "The dude's killing me with a freaking knife, and I got a submachine gun that supposedly shoots 1,000,000 rounds, and I'm getting my ass whooped."
Titanfall was fun.
And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm out." That's why I only play the games where it's just me against me. So
you do like the MMO games? Is that what it's called? MMO?
yeah, I mean, Warcraft's multiplayer, but I mean, I haven't really played the multiplayer portion of it in a long time.
Have you re-downloaded it, or you got rid of it?
I actually I resubscribed.
Did
So
you?
I think I was officially out of it for a year, and over the winter, the holidays and stuff like that, I had a bunch of free time, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm going to play World of Warcraft."
Are you back in your guild or anything, or no?
Yeah. I mean, I used to be the guild leader, and I guess because I disappeared, it bumped me out, and so someone else took over. I'm like, whatever. But
Clearly, there's still some tension there. It's not just
no,
one
I mean,
no, I'm just kidding.
there's like literally like 3 people left. I mean, it's
oh really? 3 soldiers left.
Yeah, and actually, the guy who is now the guild leader was the guy who founded the guild. So it's kind of hard for me to like say, "Dude, you stole my guild leadership title," because it was his.
Yeah, you were out for a fucking year.
He was the dude.
Man.
Right? He's been there since day one, right? So I look, it's not a big deal, but yeah, I played. I bought the expansion because it was on sale for like 50% off because I had been gone for a year, and I was like, what the hell? It's $30. I got something to do, right? And then I blew through it in a couple of weeks, and now I paid for like a 6-month subscription.
I was gonna say
I still play it every once in a
are
while.
making a killing. I couldn't even imagine if my games were to switch over to a monthly subscription base.
God, it's nuts.
I would they're probably. Because they're providing this service, like obviously they have like probably a team of engineers that have to run it. And their salaries are probably fairly decent, I would imagine, but they're probably killing it as far as.
I'm still amazed at how many people play the damn thing. I really am.
Warcraft's.
I guess it's like me, right? You've committed so much time to it. It's just hard to let go. I mean, when you're 20 years in on a freaking game, it's hard to let go. Even if you're like, I've had enough of this shit. I don't have the time for this shit.
You don't play it for a little while.
But you're like, oh fuck, man! I got 20 years in, and I want to go check out the latest and greatest, right? And it's so rinse and repeat. It's not even funny. I mean, shit changes, but generally speaking, it doesn't really change. It's just kind of like, okay, the dragon's green now instead of red. I mean, there's only so much they can do, and the storylines are like, okay, it's the same. Like you go into dungeons, and I'm like, yeah, I've seen this before. Like actually, I've seen this 18 different times before, right? It's just okay. Now it's a little bit of a different thing.
That's what makes it good, though, is because it's multiplayer. Because it could ever change so many different times. Like you could. Fighting that dragon one time like by yourself versus fighting it with 18 people is probably a lot different. And then also too, like, you always get asked a question. It's like, are you gonna stop gaming when you're older? And it's like, I'm 24 now.
Yeah,
Instead
you'll
of
never.
stop. And
No,
like,
I mean I'm
you know,
57 and I'm still playing fucking
exactly.
video
So
games.
it's like, you know,
Yeah.
people like ask her like, oh, you know, like Taylor should be like, you gonna keep playing the game? I was like, yes. Like I don't
Yeah, it's
care.
embedded into your DNA.
Yeah,
at this
exactly.
point,
You're like,
right?
you've been playing for so long, so.
It's an outlet, right? It's just,
Yeah, there you go. That's what I said to her. I'm like, I don't drink, I don't smoke. I was like, let me play the fucking game. That's like the only thing I want to do. You
That's
know what
true.
I'm saying?
You,
So,
you should have that.
but nonetheless, I think.
But yeah, I went
that's a
back
good
and
one.
I'm playing World
Good.
of Warcraft, and I'll probably play that up until Elden Ring's DLC comes out in June, and then
Then you're gonna take a break again.
I'll be playing that like a religious mofo.
There you go. There you go.
That game's freaking fabulous. I'm just sorry.
What is it? Elden Ring?
Yeah.
I heard good things about it.
Best game ever. It's great.
Elden Ring.
Anyway, but
yeah,
yeah,
nonetheless,
playing
episode.
Warcraft 2. Oh, we're done.
Are we good? How are we at?
Shit, we're on an hour, man.
Okay. Well, sorry.
We got anything else to talk about? There's got to be something. It's been like months. So we're still doing the podcast, obviously, right? Recapping
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Even though we suck now on the week, we used to do this weekly.
I
God
know.
damn. Let's bring COVID back so we can get back to weekly.
I know. I mean, I was even thinking,
It's crazy.
if I didn't have to come over here to talk about, like, I would like to talk about the clothing stuff after this, but
Yeah,
I was gonna say, like, we could probably just do Zoom, like we've talked about before. Like,
I
if we
know.
do-
It's
if
just
we-
not the same. I gotta have that personal interaction. I gotta see you, man.
Yeah,
I
but
gotta
just
see
to, get
you.
it, just to get it done, you know what I'm
I
saying?
gotta see my homeboy.
There you go. Well, I don't know. What's? I mean, in the-
Oh, I do have one last thing. So I was at the Arc'teryx store in Chicago,
Oh, okay.
and they released their new Beta LT. I was looking for I want a lightweight jacket that's like waterproof and all that shit, and so they came out with the Beta LT, and it's $500. Right, it's a very lightweight shell jacket
Yeah, I like the Atom.
with the latest and greatest Gore-Tex. And I was like, man, it's $500. That's crazy. And I get an email from Gore, right, who owns Gore-Tex, right? And they have what is basically the exact same
How much?
jacket for $280.
Did you get it?
I didn't, but I was like, it's the same friggin' jacket. So if you ever want to know what the Arc'teryx markup is, there
About
it is.
$300.
It's like twice the price because of the name. Because you can get Gore, who owns Gore-Tex. You can get the same jacket for.
Gore's local to PA, ain't it? Or Maryland or something like
yeah,
that?
they're right down. They're in Maryland. They're not too far from here, right?
Yeah.
That's but yeah, their clothes are really nice. I mean, it's I'm telling you,
I knew someone that worked there, and she was doing something with.
like
them.
I'm only on their mailing list because all of my biking gear is Gore. Like everything I buy for my bike is Gore wear, right? But I got it and I was like, this looks exactly like the Arc'teryx jacket. And then I'm looking at it, it's this brand new Gore-Tex. It's made from recycled materials, and it doesn't have all
Well, that's
the
what the fucking
pesticides
REI,
and all the other shit. And I'm like, the description is almost identical, and I'm like, holy shit, that's the same freaking jacket. And
Well,
it's
that's the
$280.
thing. When I went in to buy the, I don't even know what I have. The one jacket, the same one I think you have, but it has the hood on it.
Yeah.
Is that the Beta jacket? I couldn't even tell you.
I don't have a Beta, so I mean, I forget what the hell it's called.
They got rid of it?
No, I mean,
You still have it. I forget what it is, but it has a hood. It's water resistant. Everything's good on it. But when I went to go buy it, they were like, "We have an REI one on. It's on the same rack. It's just down the rack.
yeah.
It's
At
on
REI.
the same
Yeah.
rack." They're like, "We have this one.
It's not quite the
it's not
same,
quite
but
the same.
yeah.
It's like $120. So
Yeah.
you're like, holy shit! Now I'm at a predicament. I have,
Yeah.
I have the same thing. It's like, but it's not the same. What do I want to do? And then I felt the same thing. Felt the same guilt. I don't know if I told you. I ripped it. I ripped the jacket, but I was an REI member, so they're like, you could return it. We'll give you a brand new one. So I got a brand new one, and I had to go through the whole process again. We're like, we have the same jacket. We'll give you money back on your purchase. I was like, oh damn, I'll just stick with what I have.
Wow, that's cool though that they returned it.
Oh,
I
they
mean,
swapped it, and they just like were like, how did it happen? And I was just like, I think it came like that. I was
you're lying, liar, stick
no,
your head in fire.
I think it did. I think it came like that.
Yeah. They have a crazy return policy when you're a member, right?
I should be getting some money back.
like
from
I
them.
literally think you can return shit like a year later.
1 year later.
Which is fucking crazy, right?
know.
I mean, I sit there in my head and I'm like, man, if you were really just kind of a creepy dude, you could like take advantage
Time
of some
it
of these
at, like,
return. I
yeah,
mean,
like
I can wear
300
clothes for a year and then return it.
Like,
I mean,
like
that's
the
just
360-day mark, just go back and be like,
it's
you know.
nuts.
I think we should be getting money back though. I think in March they offer money back for your past year's purchases.
10% or some shit.
So
or
I think I have
something.
I bought like a $300 jacket, bought like a $200 like inner layer with a hood. So right there's 500. I should be at $50 back,
Yeah.
right? That's how it works.
I think so. I think we need to get into the Gore-Tex business as well. We need to get into because that shit's
man.
expensive.
I would love to do that stuff, man. So yeah, other than that, I'm not too sure what other stuff happened within the past.
I know it's crazy.
Past
it's
like 2 months.
Man, I can't believe it's been like a
everything.
month, over a month.
Or a month, that's what it was. No, I don't
So
know.
anyway, I guess we'll end up because we're way over. We're over an hour. Yeah, cool. Oh, one more thing. Sorry. One more thing. So I am so freaking pissed that Joe Rogan's back on Apple Podcasts, and let me explain why.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I love listening to the fucking guy, and his goddamn podcasts are 2.5, 3 hour long, man.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy. I don't have the time to listen to that shit.
Oh wait, so you're pissed that it's
I'm
on
pissed
it?
that I have access. Like, I wouldn't go to Spotify for him, right? I just wouldn't do it. I'm an Apple Podcast guy.
Spotify's free to listen to podcasts.
I know it's free, but I never go into Spotify. So when he moved over to Spotify, I never went and listened to any of his things. As soon as he came back on Apple, I'm listening to freaking episodes, and I'm like, this fucking guy talks for 2.5 hours to 3 hours. He had Kid Rock on, and it was 3.5 hours.
I love his stuff with the comedians.
My God.
I'll always listen to.
So
his shit
here
with
I am
comedians.
complaining that I actually like something to the point where it sucks that I like it. But
I typically just do because my commute's like 40 minutes to work, so I listen 40 minutes there, 40 minutes back, 40 minutes there, 40 minutes back. And
I'm just trying to figure out how the hell he
That's pretty
monetizes this. Because, like,
So I'm looking at it real quick. just
Spotify pays him $250 million, or whatever it is, $200 million. And, I'm listening to it on an Apple podcast. There's no advertising.
All right, so I just checked just because I wanted to check. And he's been off of Apple Music for a couple years now.
Probably at least a year.
Yeah, at least a year.
Yeah.
And all of his shit is back uploaded as if he never left.
Right, on Apple.
What does that file size look like per?
Oh, my God, I know.
How would you like?
I know.
Like for the people that won't give a shit don't probably understand, but like when you upload one of these, it's a couple gigs I would imagine, and he's doing it for 3.5. Like this one's 327,
hours.
so it's probably 2 gigs
Yeah.
per thing. Let's just round it off at that, and he has 2,107 episodes. Like,
And Apple doesn't charge by...
yeah. So he's just.
I mean, they're
like,
happy to do it. Right?
yeah,
I mean,
they're probably
in that case.
static to upload it, considering the amount of views it's going to be brought in. But it's just like how. Like, did he just like open up his like whatever PC, MacBook, whatever, plug in a hard drive with all the things, and just like let it go for 3 days, and then just came back to it? Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's not how that works. He probably hand delivered that shit to Apple. And
Yeah,
they
they fucking
gave him
did
the
it.
velvet rope deal because it's him. But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, but I'm like, man, I'm like, I can't believe that I'm listening to this shit for 3 hours, and the entire thing is just compelling as can be. It's just,
it's good
and
stuff.
all he does, he's inviting his friends into a room like this, and they're just shooting the shit for 3 hours, and people are listening to it and just enthralled. I mean, it's like, man, it's
one
crazy.
guy I can listen to that goes on there all the time is Joey Diaz. That guy, he is hysterical, and he lives in New Jersey, and I think he's opening a residency at the Parks Casino, which is in Philly. So
Yeah.
that's like one of the things I want to go see is him, because he's fucking hysterical, man.
I know, it's crazy.
But-
So that's my last rant. I'm just like,
No,
I'm
you're-
pissed that he's back on Apple Podcast because now I'm listening to it, and
Yeah.
I can't keep up with it, man. It's 3 fucking hours.
That's the beautiful thing about once you're established, it's so easy to just keep that momentum
it
going
is
forward.
really.
Because it's just the gears
yeah.
turning. Like, you're Joe Rogan, you're like, hey, can we get on Elon Musk next? Like,
Yeah.
and it's like guaranteed. It's like it's
Yep.
different. You know what I mean?
Getting people that if you get the right, it's easy. It's
Because we talked about that with the Nelk Boys. With their
it's-
platform is just so monstrous at this point. They could call up, like, they might not be the best interviewers, and I think
No, they're
you've
terrible.
expressed you've expressed that. But
They're
like
awful.
you're like, can I get Donald Trump on? And they're like, yeah. Like, who's gonna say no after that? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
I hadn't actually been listening to the
I
full
haven't
send.
watched them in a while.
But I guess they
6
had this
months at
drama
least.
with one of their dudes, the older dude. I don't.
Menry,
Bob Menry.
Bob Menry, and Dana
And he's
White
back
was on
now.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, Dana White
Oh,
was
he's
on.
back on now.
I think so. I think either that or they're bringing him on for like
Getting guests or something.
like a recurring kind of guest role. But he's been on like the last couple, and the one with Dana White and him, because they basically brought him back, and Dana White just It's like
Unleashing
oh
on him,
my god, he
was
just
it?
went
I
off
saw
on
some
this
of the
dude.
clips,
Like you
actually,
are a fucking idiot. No, oh my god,
Well,
it was just something
the
else.
one clip that really popped up from that, and because I haven't watched her stuff in a while, but the one thing, that popped up was he was getting like $1 million per like month, I think, to appear on that show, and it was like he was like still feeling undervalued. It's like we pull up and we do this shit for free. If not, we're losing money. You know, it's like we're killing time out of the day, and he still felt like he was undervalued. I was like, dude, this fucking guy doesn't know how lucky he has it to be getting. You know what I mean?
You're talking for a fucking living
I know.
about, you know,
bullshit. That's
sleeping with girls or going to Miami and drinking and partying. I mean, come on, man.
I know you were getting paid to do it.
Give me 20 grand. I'd probably quit my job and just do that for a living.
Seriously, man. Seriously.
Holy Christ.
So, but yeah. Anyway,
yeah. So anyway, we should probably close off before I think of something else that I totally forgot about, and then it'll be we'll break it up into 2 episodes.
Who cares? At this point, besides our new audience that we got from, so we had to start some more.
Someone had to go there. Don't. That's it's taboo, man.
What the fuck? We got to start up a new thing. It just dawned upon me because it dawned upon me because I was like who's like genuinely like tapped in listening to it. And you get text messages, so like I know like at least 4 people that listen to our shit like all the time. I like know for a fact.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, after that, like, who the fuck really cares?
Nobody cares.
And then I'm like, you know, we do it for our own reasons.
I mean, for whatever, it's worth, that episode did blow up on the charts. I think it actually outpaced the
Carol Baskin one.
The Carol Baskin one.
And I'm like, now all these people. Yeah, fucking.
Well, I mean, those people don't listen anymore. It's just a fucking bullshit. Whatever. Yeah. Anyway,
we need to start beef. So fuck you, Joe. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, fuck you, Joe Rogan.
Yeah, come on our podcast. But,
yeah, right. Sure, he's got better things to do.
I know.
All we need to do is get Elon Musk or Donald Trump, and that's it. And boom, you blow up. I mean, and the rest of it's downhill from there.
We need to get
it's easy once you get that first guest. So
yeah, make it happen.
I don't know. What's that dude that we tried to get? That fucking.
Liver King.
Liver King. He'd probably come on in a heartbeat now. Fucker.
No, anyway, and then it came out he was like a smart business guy. Like on the surface, he looks like a fucking dumb rock, but he's like a multi-millionaire like supplement guy. He's like extremely calculated. So
yeah,
you know how that shit goes.
Yeah, he wasn't doing any of the shit that he said he was doing. Anyway, all right. Episode 60, whatever. I honestly don't even know. I think it's probably in the high 60s.
67, I think.
All right, we'll call it 67. So sorry for the delay. We'll be back, hopefully sooner than a month later. We are going to talk close after this podcast shut down, so hopefully we'll have some new drops coming. Maybe it'll be Gore-Tex stuff if we could ever figure that out.
I mean, man, we're both working full-time jobs. I'm on payroll.
I know. I would
dude.
Seriously love to do some Gore-Tex shit. We should actually look into that.
Invest some money into it, man.
That'd be a game changer. But all right, cool. Anything else before we roll?
Peace out, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Later, all. Thanks.
Share. Thank you. Bye.